Why Do We Cry? By Fran Pintadera and Anna Sender. Why do we cry? Mario had been quiet all morning. His mother sat patiently beside him. Finally, in a small, near whisper, the little boy asked, "Mom, why do we cry?" She thought about it for a moment, then answered, "We cry for a lot of reasons, Mario. Sometimes we cry because the sadness we feel is so great that we just can't contain it. Other times, we cry because we're full of anger and we need to let it out, like a storm cloud releases rain. After that, we become lighter, just like the cloud. We cry because sometimes we don't understand the world, and our tears go in search of the answers we need. Some days we cry because we call out for a hug, but all we get back is an echo. We cry because it helps us grow. Every tear nourishes us, little by little. If we didn't cry, we'd turn to stone. Some people cry because shouting for hours doesn't help. Others because they try to keep everything under lock and key, but their tears find a way to escape. We cry because pain hurts. Sometimes it's on the outside, sometimes it's on the inside, deep, deep down. Tears are the best medicine. Often, we cry when we run into a wall. When that happens, we don't cry because we're hurt, but because the wall seems impossible to climb. We cry because we're an immense sea caught in a storm. But once the storm passes and the sea grows calm, the waves leave patterns on the shore. Sometimes we cry because we can't find the right words. Lucky for us, tears speak an infinite language. But more than anything, sweetheart, we cry because we feel like crying. That's the most important reason. Mario hugged his mother tightly and kissed her on the nose, like he did when he was a baby. "Thanks, Mom. I feel much better. But why are you crying?" Because, my love, we can also cry when we're happy. The end of the book has notes all about tears. What are tears? Tears are clear drops of liquid produced by lacrimal tear glands above our eyes, tucked behind our brow bones. What kind of tears are there? There are 3 kinds of tears. Basal tears keep our eyes hydrated. These tears are in our eyes all the time, coating our eyeballs so they don't dry out. Reflex tears protect our eyes from irritants in our environment, such as dust, smoke, and chopped onion fumes. That's why we sometimes cry when we cook. Emotional tears, also known as psychic tears, are our response to strong feelings. They come out when we're happy, sad, angry, scared, frustrated, or in pain. These are tears we're talking about in this story. What are tears made of? Tears are made almost entirely of water, but they also contain minerals, such as salt. That's why our tears taste salty. Why are tears good for us? Every time we cry, our bodies produce and release tons of hormones, chemicals carried in our blood. and other substances that act like natural painkillers. They're the reason we feel better after crying. What shape are tears? It depends a lot on when we see them. Most often, we depict them in the carton shape of raindrops, which is what they look like right as they're forming. They start off narrow on top and then get wider and rounder at the bottom as they get heavier. Other times, tears might look rounder or like splatters. How much does a tear weigh? A tear weighs very little, about 0.05 grams, 0.002 ounces, about as much as half a grain of rice. Considering how light tears are, it's strange how relieved we feel after crying. They certainly seem to weigh more inside of us than when they come out. Who cries? We all cry at different moments in our lives. In fact, crying is universal, just like laughter. It happens all over the world. Crying is for boys and girls, young and old, short and tall, big and small. In other words, it's for everyone. Activities. In this story, we use different ways to explain what happens to us when we cry. Imagine that you're the author, and you've been asked to explain what crying looks like, from the moment we start to tear up to the full-on waterworks. How would you describe it? This is what 3 tears look like under a microscope. As you can see, each one is unique, just like fingerprints. No 2 are alike. And depending on whether you're crying, happy tears, sad tears, or scared tears, they can look even more different. If these tears could talk, what story do you think they'd tell? At the back of a book, we can read about the authors. Fran Pintadera is a theater director, storyteller, and an award-winning author of more than a dozen books for children. He says that he wrote Why Do We Cry to try to answer a question he might have asked as a child. But maybe he wrote it just for you. Fran lives near Alicante in Spain. Anna Sender began her illustration career in textile design, but now mostly illustrates children's books, and even writes them herself sometimes, most recently, The Cottingley Fairies. She lives, creates, and sometimes cries in Barcelona, Spain.